गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today, like I said yesterday, we're going to discuss about India's defense exports. And these are rising post Op Sindoor. In fact, in my opinion, they're about to take off, right? And I have good reasons to believe so. And I'll put across things to you. And we also have good reason to understand that we need to do a lot. It's not just that Op Sindoor and our defense exports should rise as a matter of right. No, we have to do more, and we'll discuss various facets of this as we go along. We'll look at more of issues. But at the outset, I'd like to thank Nitin Jobanputra for having joined us as a member. And I'd also request all of you, those of you who see this video, if you like it, do press that like button, subscribe to the Ghana Short channel. I'm saying this upfront because, like I said, for some funny reason, the subscription rate has fallen and the viewership is also down. And unless I've gone bad or my subjects are useless, whatever. Well, that's part of the story. I suppose everything in life goes up and down, right? And we have to take the ups and with the downs, and one has seen enough. But my aim is not anything personal. I think India as a whole should know where India is going. And Indians as a whole should know, because it's Indians who are going to drive India where it is. And that's what has happened. That's the whole talk today, where we are going the way we are supposed to go. Right. Okay. At the outset, I'd like to put across what, our foreign ministry has put out about, our prime minister is going to Brazil. There's some requests come from Brazil regarding defense equipment, and we need to understand what this is all about. So I'll first highlight that film, and then we'll take the rest of the story. Okay, here we go with the film fully. I'm not going to come between you and.
We have a few areas that seem to be of interest to the Brazilian side. They are interested in secure communication systems on the battlefield. They are also interested in offshore patrol vessels, OPVs. Brazil has Scorpion submarines. They are interested in partnering with us in maintaining those submarines. They also seem to be interested in the Akash air defense system and in coastal surveillance systems, Garuda artillery guns, and so on.
So it's a huge list. You're talking of Garuda artillery systems, secure communication systems, Akash missiles, Scorpion submarines, MRO, the works. I mean, this is some kind of an interest which, well, one doesn't express it in such, explicit terms. And Prime Minister is going there, and I'm sure that he's going to Ghana also. So that also will come into the fold, and many more. Okay, so it is only the beginning. Okay, so let's go over it a little more, detail. Why do people go in for weapons from India? Why should we? Or for that matter, why should a country take weapons from another country? Of course, the fact that it doesn't have is a different story. Given options, why would I go in for a particular weapon? Because I would like weapons which are battle tested and reliable. And in this case, we have that issue of our weapons, all these which the foreign secretary had said, foreign secretary who's looking after Brazil, he says these are a matter of what is the outflow of Op Sindoor. We've all discussed it. There's nothing new. Nothing like a battle-tested weapon system. Sorry, I'll get to this. Let me give you anecdotally. After all, I was involved in a lot of procurement for the armed forces. And every time I went up and spoke, one of the things which I always was asked to explain, and I had to convince myself was, is the weapon system I'm going to procure for the Indian Army battle tested? Is it reliable? One of the two. Sometimes some of these weapon systems are not battle tested. But is it reliable? I need reliability. It shouldn't fail in war. There's nothing worse. You see in Hindi movies, and for that matter, in any movie, you would have seen that hero, suddenly presses the trigger and the bloody burst doesn't go. Or the villain presses the trigger and the weapon doesn't function. That's the worst thing that can happen. And I was always worried about that. For example, for the M777, people said, why should we take M777? I said, look, it's battle tested. It's been tested in Afghanistan. It's been, they've barrels have worn out in thing, and it stood the test of time. Why should I go for the Vajra? We had a Russian equivalent also. Let me now put it across you. The Russian one didn't perform. It didn't perform in trials, leave alone battle. It had never been tested. Whereas the Vajra was a full design in Korea, and they had it for a long time. Of course, we got an upgraded version suited to us. That's a different story. Proven, reliable. Why did I go for the Dhanush, which is now being inducted? I heard the 4th Regiment of Dhanush is being inducted. Why did I go for that? Or I pushed for it. I put a lot of effort for Dhanush. People said, look, why our people can't make this gun? Yeah, I said, look, the fundamental design is good. And it has proven itself in Kargil. It's proven to us. Bofors has been proven. The basic design of Dhanush is, the design is good. It can't fail us. Let's improve on it. So what we have now is Dhanush, which is an improved version of Bofors. This is great news. What about BrahMos? I mean, let me tell you, BrahMos had a lot of issues in before. I will not care to say what these were, but we made it reliable. Repeated firings. Yeah, virtually every 3rd, 4th month, I was in Andaman Nicobar getting it fired and seeing whether it serves my purpose, or rather, the country's purpose. Period. And all this is for what? For battle. It has to perform under stress of battle. And our systems, Op Sindoor, have performed. The fact that countries are asking us, they're not lining up behind China, are they? They're not. If they were lining up behind China, this would have come out. China would have bloody blown it high and mighty all over the world. Oh, look, there are so many orders being placed for Chinese equipment and all. After this the Op Sindoor and the Iran-Israel war, I am very confident the whole bloody the demand for Chinese weapons will go down. It will go down. I have no doubt. As it is, the Chinese weapons had a poor reputation, whether they were given to Bangladesh or Pakistan or Nigeria or wherever. They would never work. If they went down, there was no repair, all that. So there are major problems with this Chinese equipment which we. So the trust factor comes in. They trust us. The trust comes from battle tested. Then of course they're economical. We are very economical. Let me tell you, to one of the countries where we sold a gun, this is something which was told to me by one of the people. He said he quoted a figure, and that country just said fine, and they took it. He was worried. I mean, they didn't utter a word, no negotiation. They took it. But before taking it, there was a little, gap. Submitting the proposal, there was no negotiation. They said, no, we'll get back to you. No negotiation needed. So these people were worried. Okay, bhai, dekho, there's no negotiation means our thing doesn't go through. This 3 days, 4 days later, they said, here's the order, deliver. So later, they found out that that country was buying things from us. I mean, the cost which we gave was about 5 times lesser. 5 times lesser than what other countries had given and they were buying. And Our own chap had given the cost 5 times more. This is the margins. This is what it is. Economy. Now that word goes around. Look, Indians are good. Indian stuff is good. And then we provide an alternative to big players. And all alternatives, big players come with angles. Okay. So there is a huge market, and that's opening up. Brazil is a big country. See that list which he came out with. So let's now analyze it. All these are fine to talk, big talk and all, but let's analyze how we should go about it. Everything has to be a method and madness. Okay, the first and foremost, right, is this. Who are the biggest arms exporters? USA, Russia. These are the percentages broadly, give or take. This is a figure of about 23. Okay, it would vary a bit here and there. Okay, France, Germany, Italy, things like that. China. China has got 5% of the market, but still it's the Western powers. You're not there anywhere. If you see this, I'd like to highlight it. You're not there anywhere. You're part of that other 9%. Maybe you are 1.2% at this point of time. You are simply not in the scene. So what does it mean? It means you have hell of a lot of scope to expand. And Op Sindoor has given you that leverage. So it's a golden opportunity which we shouldn't miss, and we're not missing it. I'm very sure we're not missing it. Okay. So your base is very low. Your offtake will be very high. Later, things will happen. We'll see. We'll come to that also. And then, of course, there's the world environment has changed. And this is something which is very important. If you see that there's a surge in, global military spending. Every year, it's gone to 23-24, it's gone to 2.7 trillion. This year, it might go further. Why? The world is at war. Escalation. What? All those factors which kick in. You see the kind of wars which are going, Russia versus Ukraine, Middle East. Even now that Gaza thing is going on, what's the guarantee that tomorrow Iran will not remilitarize? Europe is remilitarizing. All countries around China are remilitarizing. You yourself feel the threat and you're upping. You want bigger. Economies are growing. Our economy is growing, so you want spend more on defense. Viksit Bharat and Surakshit Bharat are the same thing. So you want a Viksit Bharat, you need a Surakshit Bharat. So the global spending is increasing and the suppliers are the same and people want more. Okay. So what are the factors of growth? That's what I've said here. Wars imply weapons, new weapons. Technology is changing. If technology changes, you need new weapons. Now, once you have weapons, it's not only that all weapons will be new. They'll be new, they'll be old, everything. They need replacement. They need repair. They need spares, refurbishment. It's a cycle. And this is a 30-year cycle. That's the minimum cycle. Right? For example, the Bofors, the first Bofors I handled, 1984, when I was a captain. Now it's 40 years. We're still using it. You need spares for it. You indigenize a lot of spares. That's a different story. But you need spares. You need refurbishment. There'll be a overhaul for that. So all those facilities you need. And we have. See, one of the things which people don't understand is, while we might be one of the biggest importers of defense equipment, our ability to maintain it, our ability to refurbish it, our ability to overhaul it is huge. And that now combined with this Atmanirbhar Bharat and private industry coming in and all that gives you a multiplicative factor. So you can do whatever you want if you have with the existing base. Our base is good. You manufacture everything from missiles to nuts and bolts. There's very little you don't manufacture to maintain your items. Now that can be turn to production for new equipment and export. Okay, then you have enhanced threat levels, which is posed by China, Iran, Russia, North Korea. All these people to their surroundings are posing threat levels. So, as a result of these enhanced threat levels, their neighbors are increasing their military capability. If their neighbors increase their military capability, they themselves also increase. So, it's a spiral, and the spiral is driving sales. Okay, and then there are a whole lot of civil wars going across all over at any given time. Myanmar, you just see how for past 2 3 years there's a civil war happening. Oh, Africa, the complete Sahel region of Africa is full of civil wars. Unstable countries. Look at what happened in Sri Lanka. There are people who want to do coups, who want to upstage, like it happened in Maldives sometime back. Security is a thing, private military contractors are operating. So there's a huge factor of growth, drivers of growth. So that's also there. So surging is happening. This kind of a surge means what? It means that you have an opportunity. You have to spend more is given, but you have an opportunity, which I mentioned earlier, because your weapons are now battle tested. It's not only those, very others. We'll come to that. Then what are the categories of weapons which, largely which sell? This chart explains very nicely. The bulk is aircraft because they're the costliest. Okay. Missiles, armored vehicles, ships, air defense systems, sensors, engines, artillery systems, all that. Okay. Now we are very good at these missiles, proven missile systems. Fantastic. We have air defense. Again, Akash and Akash Tir is all proven weapon systems. L-70 refurbishment, proven. A lot of people have L-70 and L-60. What is the difference between L-70 and L-60? L-60 is the older version of the L-70, which has got a smaller barrel. But many countries still have it. If you give them an upgrade of L-60 or L-70, which we have done, that's what was fielded in Op Sindoor, or they'll lap it up because it's cheap. Others don't have that capability. You have some niche capabilities which others don't have. Okay. Then ships. You have a fantastic shipbuilding capability. And what are we doing today? For example, Musgaon Docks is now getting a dock in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Now, what happens with that? You get hold of that. You build ships there. Warships. After all, Musgaon Docks is not going to go and build fishing trawlers in Colombo. And slowly you get Sri Lanka into your orbit, security orbit. Tomorrow it will be this thing, something else will come, something else will come. It's a multiplicative factor which is going to happen. Of course, the fact that defense exports are going to drive your Atmanirbharta and your GDP by a factor of 2. That's what General Raj Shukla always says. The growth in defense industry drives your GDP by a factor of 2. Whatever you get out of investment in other industries, you invest in defense industry, it is twice. And now when you look and get exporting, it is going to be thrice. That's my rough back of the envelope calculation. Okay. And what is not given in this space? Not given in this pie or this chart. Space is a huge sector waiting to be taken. And let me tell you, I'll talk about space a minute, because the sectors which we need to concentrate on. Space, you have complete technology. You have the capability of launching satellites in the private sector. You have the capability and technology for doing everything. We are establishing down south near, what's that place? Tuticorin, near Tuticorin. I'm forgetting that name. Another spaceport. That's going to be largely for private players. ISRO, the one Satish Dhawan Space Center with Sriharikota will be for government purposes. The one down south in Tamil Nadu will be for private purposes. So you have the ability to launch satellites, military satellites, works. They're all connected industries. Missiles and space are same technology. So that is something which we have to understand. The multiplicative factor of each. And this will come about. Now, if you talk to Brazil, if our Prime Minister goes and talks to Brazil, we'll cover it after the BRIC summit, after let's say 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 1 week back ahead. And then there's a state visit to Brasilia, that is, and the implications of that, I will talk separately. Because there are geopolitical implications and many other issues. We'll talk that. Okay, so I'm sure space will figure. And we need to peddle space. We need to spell, we are the 4th largest space capacity in the world. Yeah, obviously USA, China, Russia are the top. Then, of course, I will put Eurosatory, that is the Europe and Japan. But Eurosatory and Japan, they're largely linked with NASA and that space capability. Of course, there's a private space capability. And then India. In terms of country, we are the 4th largest. We are one of the countries which has sent rovers to Mars, Mangalyaan. We have parked a vehicle at Chandrayaan, Vikram lander. We discussed this. You done, SpaceX, where you did joining and unjoining. You're trying to put up a satellite, sort of the manned space mission. And why don't you share this with others? And get guys like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to be deported shortly, as if you go by what Trump says. If Elon Musk is being deported, you tell him, "Yaar, idhar aake kar lo na. Do everything. Whatever, we'll help you." And he's intelligent. Let's be fair. And let him build technology here. Okay? Okay. Then there's another industry which very few people understand. Aircraft industry. See, you understand, this is the aircraft thing is the biggest. Now, see the growth of your civil aircraft industry. This is in millions, passengers in millions. You are here, 24. By 30, you're going to be double the number of passengers who are going to fly. And that's going to redouble by 2050 or 40. It's not very far, 14 years. A boy who's today, a chap who's in school, by the time he enters the workforce, he will only travel by air, 15, 16 years. See the thing which is happening. Well, let me put it this way. When I was a commanding officer, I'm talking of op time. I flew in Jet Airways. Now it's defunct. From Siliguri to, that is Bagdogra to Delhi. It was an event because there were only 2 flights from Guwahati, from Bagdogra to Delhi. That too once in 3 days. And these flights are one Air India flight and one jet flight. And they used to follow each other 1 hour after the other. And, for me to spend that money at that time to go by a flight from Bagdogra to Delhi was a fortune. I really couldn't afford it. I was a colonel. But today, every Tom, Dick, and Harry goes. Our children of tomorrow will only travel by air. My children, largely, once they finish school, they only travel by air. They don't have the idea of how to go by train and all, except if they go by Vande Bharat and all. Things are changing at pace. Technology is changing at pace. The leverage between the aircraft industry and defense industry is huge. Huge. You have a MRO system in India, which we should get, leverage it with your other industry. Like, for example, today you're going to Brazil, they make Embraers. Embraers are small jets. Get the technology, have a factory here, have a MRO for Embraers, and you see our aircraft industry changing. Now you have Embraers coming, that jet engine, can you put it on a or aircraft and put it in Tejas or whatever. The technology. So there's a lot of things you can do with this aircraft industry, okay, which we have to. And now we'll come to the defense part of the story. The scope is huge. I mean, I didn't want one thing which has not come in this is the number of airports. In the next 5-10 years, the number of airports are going to double. The number of aircraft which are going to fly are going to triple. Okay. So if you that is going on a fast track. So you have similarly your roads. That's also going to increase. I don't know whether I have that. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Look at the operational airports in India. That's going up. Look at the roads. Your infrastructure in terms of road communication. From 2014 to now, you've 60% increase. You're averaging 34 to 37 kilometers of road per day. There's an explosion happening. How do you synergize that explosion with what your defense industry is going to do? That's the challenge. And then you have a huge shipbuilding capacity. Can you expand it with no more shipbuilding? Shipyards? There are a lot of defunct shipyards in India still. Can you revive them? Can you acquire them from outside? These are the issues which we need to factor in. Okay, now let me get back here. This, like I said, this is the MOD thing. Today you are exporting to 100 plus nations. Make it a bit bigger. Yeah, 100 plus nations. Your top three defense export is to France, USA, and Armenia. Soon it'll be Brazil, it'll be Philippines, and all that. I mean, I'm not getting into those countries, but look at it. You're exporting to USA. What are you exporting to USA? A lot of items which USA puts its defense exports, you're exporting from here. It's not back end parts. I'll just explain to you. We got with a model, with an anecdotal model. We got the M777 gun. So at that time, I can only talk from the model I know. So don't feel that I'm trying to pat my own back, but this is the model I know. So that gun made completely all parts made outside, assembled here, given to India. Great. But I said I want all parts to be made in India thereafter. What are your fast moving space? Work it out. That technology involved titanium technology. So a firm in Lucknow was given the technology. I said, otherwise I don't take the gun. Now what happened later? All the parts of that gun worldwide for M777, which the BAE was using or rather managing, were being made in Lucknow and being sent. You just see that. So similar things must be happening in all other industry. France. Then there are offsets. Our defense acquisition procedure has something called offset. Offset is what? That if you give them a contract, say you give BAE a contract, or for that matter, Dassault a contract of 100 rupees. 30 rupees he has to spend in India. For what? He has to spend to buy items from India, from local things. So what you do, you give him a contract for 100 rupees and bought the item. But he has to source from India 30 rupees worth of items. He'll source. I know people sourcing TNT from India. because you have the capacities. That's export. That goes into export. That is why you have France. That France has come in because of Dassault and Rafael. And then the strategic links start. Okay. So I'll get back. Now, like I said, the scope is huge. Our market share is still minimal. I showed you earlier, there's nothing. We can say very good, we have done. You look at this, the growth in the defense sector, exports is huge. And if you see, I'll make it a little bigger. Okay, from 2016-17 to 2024, see this, how this has gone up. Forget about the numbers, forget the cost. You just see the graph will take off, and it's bound to take off more. And yet, you don't form even 1% of the global share. So the scope is huge. Okay. We've spoken of this, we've spoken of this. So what are the current exports all about? This is it. This is your list. BrahMos. BrahMos is a huge hit. Maximize. Your artillery guns. You sold them to Armenia, give it to others. Now Garuda is a 105 mm of Bharat Forge. Give it. Though, it's a mounted gun system. Brazil has a different thinking. So it suits them. Good. You have Dornier. People buy Dorniers. You make Dorniers. HAL makes Dorniers in Kanpur. Can you expand it? Do you know that we make Dorniers? And it exported. Passenger aircraft. Why can't you expand the capacity? A lot of people want that 17-20-seater Dorniers. I've flown hell of a lot in Dorniers over Andaman Sea. Radars. Huge scope. Huge scope. And we have the capability, electronics. Look, we got a lot of electronic capability thanks to mobile systems. Indian manufacturer of mobiles. The same spares you use for radars. And now you are going into the semiconductor story. So your capabilities are increasing, your vision also has to increase. Akash, we've spoken of Pinaka. Damn good weapon system. I'm in love with this system, being a gunner, of course, and I've been associated with this system for the past 20 years. Armored vehicles. Your new light tank which you're making, Zorawar. Yeah, why not start exporting it? Bulletproof jackets, Chetak helicopters, fast interceptor boats, lightweight torpedoes. There's some list. You can increase it. And what is more interesting is there are companies in India which export, but that's not captured as defense exports. There are reasons for it. I'll come to it. And that's where our government has to pull up its socks. What are the triggers for this whole story going forward? Modernization increases your defense base and capacity. As you modernize, that will increase. What you export gives you surge capacity. See, if you are exporting from your existing base, okay, you can export up to 50% of your base. 50% you keep for yourself, 50% you export. Tomorrow, if there's no war, forget export, meet your export orders, reorient that export capacity to your own requirement. It gives you surge capacity. That's what Russia has done, because it's got stuck in other issues. Then there is NATO and US allies. They are increasing their expenditure. After all, now only Trump has forced NATO to say 5% they have to spend on defense. And they don't have capability to spend 5%. Why? Because they don't have manufacturing capability. So if there's no manufacturing capability, is it not a reason for us to go and sit in Europe and start talking? Which we have not done so far. We will do, I have no doubt. But by now we should be knocking. Look, you going to get 5% extra. you have to spend. You don't have capability. That is why, if you remember, with Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, I did a program on military renaissance of Germany. Have you guys seen it? Please see it. Just put military renaissance in Germany and type into Gunner shot, and you see this very point I spoke then. When was that? About 3 weeks back. They're all interlinked. Okay. Then, like I said, it's beyond their capability. Of course. Now you come to the next thing. Any battle tested weapon have greater value in the market. You'll see Chinese stuff going down, especially after what happened in Indonesia, where that Pakistani chap ran off. At least our DA, whatever he spoke, he accepted some losses. All that is a different story. Even our CDS has accepted losses. Even our DG, Air Force Naval, Air Force operations. He also Bharti, Air Marshal Bharti. He also accepted certain losses. Losses happen. The Pakistani guy ran off. That's good enough. That's good enough to tell you where you have won. It's a vindication. No one is going to buy Pakistani weapons. No one is going to buy Chinese weapons after this. You made international statements. Forget about those that ladai about whether it's one aircraft which went down or 6 aircraft that went down. It doesn't matter. In battles, you lose. You've not lost a single man. But you're battle tested now. A lot of your items are battle tested and they have greater value. Then Indian weapons will be always cost effective. This is your USP. You have to sell this USP. We'll give you a fair deal. Don't look for the short term. Look for the long term. Trust and reliability factor is very high. Chinese systems are very cheap, but most unreliable. They're proven. We should start a narrative to say, yeah, these useless Chinese items. I would request all of you to retweet this part. Useless Chinese items. And send this to everyone. All of us can be warriors for our nation. Just spread this message. US weapons are good, there's no doubt, but they're costly and they come with control. You buy it, like for example, US has given F-16s to Pakistan. They can't use it against India. They'll control. In fact, one of the things which India has always insisted upon with US is, you any control, will not take your weapons. Thank you, go. We will use our weapons the way we want. Once we buy a weapon, it's yours. You have no control over it. And of course, the next thing is no one gives technology. When you start manufacturing, you start exporting, there will be requirements coming from outside, and it will drive your technology. You will get more money. More money you can put in more in R&D. The private players also have, they have the incentive to put money in R&D. So all these are there. These are the triggers for better exports. So why shouldn't we do it? We are doing it. So the question, rhetoric, why shouldn't we do it? We must do more. I mean, just to give idea, Reliance Defence, Anil Ambani, everyone thought it had collapsed, it had finished, done and dusted, but it has now woken up. They've done a deal with Rheinmetall. For what? Ammunition. Germany. This fact I was talking about Germany, see that? That ammunition we'll use, Germany will use, all fine. Right? And Dassault, Reliance has also done with Dassault. So they are revived. Adani has done, big chaps have done, but equally small chaps are also doing. And these guys will pull up the small chaps also. So the change is happening. Right? This is important. Understand the change which is happening. How do you make it work? How do you make it work? All this. How do you leverage this for yourselves? You need to have export incentives. People should be incentivized to export, maybe tax breaks, whatever. Allowed to go, take part in fairs, take part in exhibitions, okay? Take part in many places. Even if you have to go and display a weapon in China, do it. Doesn't matter. Like recently, we went to Indonesia, we're going to Dubai, go everywhere. Okay. You need your defense corridors. Use them more. You have two defense corridors. Have they done great? People say so, but I think there's a lot of scope. There's a lot of scope for improvement. Then you need export control. You can't allow a chap to sell it to those countries who are inimical to you, because this defense industry is a funny industry. You can route it through a third country. These days in Twitter, my friend Sandeep Unitan, he's put out a small clip about about BrahMos and Shivtanu Pillai, where he says, look, there was a defense exhibition, I think in Dubai or somewhere, where Shivtanu Pillai was there, and a Pakistani came and understood the BrahMos missile system for him and asked him, will you give it to India? Will you give it to Pakistan? So Mr. Shivtanu Pillai said, yeah, we'll give it to you for free. And we'll deliver it free of cost where we want it to be given. Give the address and we'll give it. So it's something like that. Everyone will want, even Pakistan will want your BrahMos missile system to hit us. So you have to have export controls. People shouldn't be selling, state secrets and state capabilities to our own enemies. It shouldn't happen that you give something to a country and from there it goes to Turkey, from Turkey it goes to Pakistan or China. Then you need to have targeted export. Export to those countries which are useful to you. That is why I said, this trip of Prime Minister, BRICS with 5 countries, Brazil, very important, Ghana, very important, Argentina, very important. We'll talk of this. Okay. So, Namibia, again, very important. There's a lot you can get from there, and a lot you can give them. And I'll talk of Ghana tomorrow, because China has had problems there. Argentina, China has had problems there. So China has had problems with many of these countries. So you step in. Use your defense. Okay? You will face opposition from partners, your own partners and enemies. The moment your defense exports start increasing, it is going to be at someone else's cost. People like USA will not be happy. One thing we must understand, not this point. Point is, you start exporting a lot and you continue with your imports where you need. It's not as if they are mutually exclusive. You export your capability and import your technology. You have a policy. We'll come to that in the end. And it's a very competitive market. Your enemies, your partners will be your competitors. So how do you make it happen? You need a lot of thinking. And we shouldn't aim for big things. I'll sell Tejas only. The small things matter. See, a country like Myanmar or Sri Lanka or, for that matter, Maldives, they don't need aircraft. They need smaller rifles and nuts and bolts. Myanmar, I remember, came to us some time back and said, we want to refurbish our tanks. Do it. You have capability. There are a lot of Russian equipment lying all around in African countries and all that. They need spares. Can you give it to them? And like I said, every country, they can't buy arms and ammunition every day. It's going to be over a long period of time. And, that 30, 40 years they have to maintain equipment. Now, can you help them maintain the small things? You have to milk the system. When you milk a cow, the entire milk doesn't come straight away. You have to milk him, isn't it? That is the approach you have to do. You have to milk the system. Okay. And then there are other scopes. Everyone knows our trials which India carries out are the ultimate trials. People have told me, sir, just give me a certificate to say, look, India has tried it and it is fit for your army. I said, why? He says, with that certificate, I'll sell it to anyone, even if you don't buy it. Now, of course, it's a government policy. Government says, okay, this equipment is tested by India, found fit, but we are not bought it for other reasons. So people take that as God's gospel and buy items. It's happening. So is there a reason case for us to export trials? You want to buy an item? We'll try it out for you in your conditions. Let me export that. Can I export training? You have items, I'll train. Defense export is not only about manufacturing, it's about the soft skills, maintenance. That's I said MRO, revenue, ammunition. One thing which is, you might have a weapon, but you need ammunition. Every war means that you have to replace your old ammunition. Some would have worked, some would have been expended. So you have to scope. Then there's always a scope for R&D and joint production with the partner countries. Develop it. These are the avenues. Let me tell you, it's not as if we are not doing it. We are doing some. We need to do more. But I am trying to put across the holistic thing to all of you. Okay. Then the military diplomacy and influence is huge. Tomorrow you build something for Sri Lankan army. It's a small army, it doesn't matter. You build capacity there. You put a dry dock on there. You put a wet dock also there, and you build a ship on EAO. Now that fellow is under military influence. You give him ammunition. He is part of your group then, no? Like why? How does a strategic partnership build? So you have American weapons. They've given it to you. So then you say you have joint protocols. So that's because you're a partner, strategic partner. So build those equities. That's what exports allow you. The moment your BrahMos went into Philippines, you posed a threat to China. China is worried. Yeah, this is Indian gun, hai. Indian missile. Hai. So your influence has gone there. They talk of, what's that string of pearls and all. What would they be thinking the way we are doing? Increase it to Japan. Some joint production, something. Give them drones, whatever. Taiwan. Taiwan has already asked for anti-drone, counter-drone systems. They'll be worried. The Chinese will be worried. Then I put military education and training. That's part of your export. People want military training systems to be established there. I mean, many of you don't know, but last year, before Sheikh Hanis was thrown out, the same Lal Manohar Hut, which the Chinese are trying to build in Pakistani subcontract, all that we are talking of. Bangladesh came to us and said, please come here, establish a training institute here. One of my colleagues from the aerospace department went there to establish an aerospace department there, and things were going well. We were saying, okay, we'll teach you something about aerospace here. We'll come and establish there, all that. Now it's gone south because of this buffoon, Yunus. And we'll not let it go. That's a different story. But that's the thing. Soft skills. But let me come to the last bit. The current system is suboptimal. Are you geared completely for exports? No. Your organization policy, your joint approach, services, industry, government. The issue of jointness in this is a little different from in between services. It is between the service, the industry, and the government. All of them have to put together and come out with a organization. There's a policy. Do we have a policy to cover all that? I doubt. US has a FMS model, foreign military sales model. It has been established over years. They have a nice booklet. You go through that booklet, you understand what is to be done, and they force you to do that. Of course, there are leeways to do much more, but logically and generally, they don't allow you to get out of that grid. They're forcing things on us. Can you do that? Or you want the Rosoboron export, which Russia has? Because Russia before this war was a big exporter. Their model is there, where they funnel all the industry has to come through this Rosoboron export and then go through. But everyone is allowed to deal independently with others. But the final thing is still with the Russian government. But the controls are not that much. But in FMS, the controls are huge. And then you have the Israeli model, which is where Israel army also comes to us and says, let's do development, which will happen, I suppose. I'm sure it will happen. It could be right from development to everything. But whatever it is, the current system has a limit. The current system is under the Defense, Department of Defense Production, which I think is not. It's okay so far, but we need a bespoke system. I mean, that's what I said. You see, there are a lot of people in India who export, but that's not captured by our system. I asked some of these people, why are you exporting, arms and all and not telling government? He says, sir, if I tell the government, they'll not let me export. I have more problems. I will do it on my own and I'll not report it. Then we are exporting quite a bit. For example, some of the helicopter parts we're exporting from here. There's one firm in Dynamatics, which is in Bangalore, which exports abroad. There are a lot of other small firms which are all over, export quite a bit. But it doesn't get captured as part of a defense export. Why? Because they don't want to get stuck with our government. So in many cases, our government is not acting as a facilitator. That's a fact. Why? Because they don't have the experience to do so. So if you have a bespoke organization, which is part of the government but operates independently out of the government, have a guy, but he's not answerable to the government directly, but he is answerable at a higher echelon to make things move. It's not part of the defense ministry that babus come and screw it. Put a good babu. I'm not saying I'm not against the bureaucrat. Put a good forward-looking bureaucrat or a retired army officer, someone, armed forces officer, and make it grow. Give him targets. He should be answerable probably directly to the defense ministry or the prime minister or the NSA. It's bespoke to the government, works. It is responsive to the industry. It's responsive to R&D. It is responsive to take initiatives and facilitate growth. Because this is coming. This flood is coming on us. And if this flood has to be, captured and utilized for our own purposes, we need to be nimble. I mean, I have no doubt about it. Right. I just thought these are some thoughts which I thought I'll share with all of you. And, I hope you liked what I've said. If you liked what I've said, do press that like button, the thumbs up. Also subscribe to Gunner Shot. And for those of you who, do subscribe and you say your notifications are not coming, kindly turn all notifications on like I said yesterday. Go to the subscribe button, press it. It will turn white when you subscribe. But that subscription means no notifications. You have to press again to see all. Press that. When the bell becomes black, that means you will get notification. And besides that, if you don't get, let me know. I will, uh, I'll take it up with YouTube. I'm just waiting for a couple of days. Will if I based on what feedback you guys give me, I'll take it up. Right? That's all I have. Uh, and we'll see how things go forward. I'll take a few questions now. Yeah, Hans Geo says, awesome, thanks a lot. I'm told that Israel is disappointed with India's governance landscape for setting up facilities here. Not really so. They understand us well and we understand them well. I've been dealing with Israelis and we have a good equation with them. It's not so. I don't think so. Sham Tarun, thanks a lot for your super sticker. So kind of you. I've already spoken of Nitin. Now let me take Vignesh. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Can you talk about semiconductors in India? If possible, bring in an expert and hang on, sir. Your content is worth it. Subscribers, yeah, I have no doubt. Look, why I said subscribers is that sudden dip. So, normally every day about 100 to 200 subscribers used to be there. For the past 1 week, there are 20. Yesterday, there were only 20 subscribers. Now, somewhere something is wrong. Either I'm not talking well enough or YouTube is debauing me. I don't know. I mean, that's why I put it out. I've, I've gone through days where they were negative. My subscribers base has gone down also. So I have no great things. Yeah, semiconductors, I'll talk. You see, I have spoken, self and Rajiv Narayanan have spoken about it. I will again speak and I will explain to you about semiconductors. I did get Pavitran Rajan to speak once about it long back. There is, if you put semiconductors somewhere in Kana short, I done a couple of videos on semiconductors, but I'll do it again. Jin Kamamu, thanks a lot that you become a member. I think you're renewing your membership. So is Vinay Kumar and Vignesh. Thanks a lot. Okay. Have I finished everyone? Yeah, I have finished all right. Uh, Thanks for this top-notch analysis. Thank you. YouTube is doing something, sir, shadow banning perhaps. Maybe I'll have to ask. I don't know how to handle this. Let me see. Okay. We need to develop jets and rifle. Yeah, we are. Look, let me put it this way, Amitesh. Uh, the scope is huge. You shouldn't get stuck that I will only do this, I will do that. Just get along with whatever you have because you're huge. You have to understand your own strength. Okay. There needs to be political firewall between the agency and PM. You don't want to repeat. Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I said you have to have that bespoke agency need to have controls. Export controls are important. Your policies are important. Okay, I agree with you. Mm. So many brainy childs of India have also been exported out. That's okay. I want people to go abroad. I want our brains to grow abroad, learn things, and they'll eventually subscribe back to India. Don't worry. I have not. India has enough brains to do what it has to do internally and out externally. Don't worry. Okay. And those guys who go abroad, they'll start controlling those systems eventually. Don't worry. Which country shares our interests to the max vis-a-vis China along with capability to withstand Chinese pressure tactics? Japan. Japan. South Korea. And interestingly, North Korea. Okay. You can't look to the west for it. It's the east. And potentially Vietnam. Very high. I'll put it the Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, North Korea. North Korea, you might think I'm talking contrary, but North Korea has a lot of good equity with India. And then, of course, you have Australia. But the Australian pie is very small. Okay. Then you have things like Indonesia and Malaysia, Philippines and Taiwan. These are all there. Okay. I hope I've answered this. The rest are not too bothered. You have a scope in South America, Brazil, Argentina, even in Africa. Why? Because many projects in these countries of China are going bad. So they want an alternative to China, and that is India. I've been saying the alternative to China in terms of sheer size and scale is India. Yeah, yeah. If I've said something wrong, please understand. I agree, sir. We should do small, do maintenance, build trust, and yeah, that's the thing. We recently trained the Vietnam Army for at our Indian Navy facility. That is why we need someone from the Navy to come. You don't need for this to just for the Navy guy to come and tell you. We know all that, right? We do. One needs all. This is generic. We don't need. But when the requirement comes, I'll call a naval guy. I believe we can't sell BrahMos to Europe. No, we can. We have to. We have certain issues with Russia to sort out. If you iron them out, there's no problem. Yeah, my last project was on 240 acres palm oil mill. Start and completed within 19 months. We get our oil. Or yeah, I agree with you. But in this, the gestation periods will be large. Even like what has come out from Brazil that they want to buy all this. It'll take another 3-4 years before deliveries also start. It's not going to be easy. So you have to be patient in this. Yeah. Oh, great dental resin, eye dental resin. Yeah, thank you so much for your great podcast. I learn something new every time. I am a new subscriber from USA of Indian origin. I would request all US based subscribers to tell your friends there to join in. You know why? I'll explain to you. Why there's one guy who keeps coming on to my channel often. He's based in New York, and he, when the Chinese thing started in Eastern Ladakh in 2020, he got on to me in one of my podcasts, and then I became friends with him. He said, so a lot of people are worried that China will, run over India and they'll defeat India and all. I said, just wait, nothing will happen. Initially, he wasn't convinced. Not now. Things have changed. Okay, things have changed. So as a result, uh, people of Indian origin and Indians who NRIs who are in USA or America, I mean other countries. It's not only USA. It's whether it's in Canada or Europe or in the Middle East or outside India. Uh, you're exposed to a lot of things about other countries and their capabilities and not much about India. And you always feel, oh, India can't do it. I would request those people to watch my podcast. Then you'll understand where India is going. That's the thing. India is very strong. Don't worry. Yeah, defense corridors have not done well. At least the Syrian defense corridor, nothing is going on. Just a bunch of empty. Yeah, I agree with you. The defense corridors have not done well for one reason. Why? Because the Tamil Nadu government, I was advising them once upon a time. The Tamil Nadu government, has switched to autos. They've switched to Apple. They've switched to other things which are happening very fast. And defense is a slow track. It's on the slow track. They don't have the patience, especially when investment is flooding into Tamil Nadu, where they're not able to cope up with servicing them. That's also as important. But equally, there are entrenched firms who are expanding. The corridor might not expand, but those are already entrenched. their roots are becoming stronger. So don't worry, don't worry. USA has so many strings attached to defense exports to India. What restrictions policy should India impose for its customers? That's up to the government. Let them do it. As far as our technology and our arms don't end up going to our enemies or adversaries, I'm okay. The rest, let the government do it. I think government is possible. Um, okay. Yeah, India asked for tech transfer, but do you think other countries will ask tech transfer from us too? And I don't think we should transfer it. Look, these are all part of negotiation. Okay. If there's a joint production, there'll be technology sharing. If it is some countries which can't handle technology, you don't give it to them. So it's a policy, a matter of policy. It's not one size fits all. सर आजादी से पहले हम कई प्रकार के विमान बना रहे थे. यदि बीच के दर्शकों में हमारी मेक इन इंडिया की रफ्तार ऐसे ही रही होता जैसे आज है तो शायद हम कभी भी आत्मनिर्भर बन चुके होते. पर ठीक है, देर आए दुरुस्त आए. सही बोल रहे हो आप मूल सिंह जी. आई कंप्लीटली एग्री विद यू. हमारा दृष्टिकोण उन दिनों में ऐसा था और हमारा देश का हालत भी ऐसे था. हमारा राजनीतिक हालत भी ऐसे था और हमारा अंदरूनी हालत भी ऐसे था. हम तो इसीलिए हमारा जो डिफेंस सिस्टम्स हैं वो काफी बिगड़ गए थे कुछ बीच में, पर अभी वापस आ रहे हैं. अच्छी बात है. देर आए दुरुस्त आए. ओके, सो फाइन. I think we have covered most of the questions, right? Yeah, China tries to surround us with a string of pearls. Can we create depth by roping in Sri Lanka, Maldives? Yeah, this is all what I said. Not only that, go export to Japan, go export to others, so that get defense partnerships with Philippines. We are doing that. Indonesia, Vietnam, surround them. Why not? Okay. Yeah, large machinery is one of the biggest. Yeah, look, like I said, just because you're going to export doesn't mean you stop importing. It has to be two ways. You have to minimize the import and maximize the export over a period of time. Don't be in a hurry. This might take a decade. It might take a decade and a half, but one day it will happen. Okay, and thanks a lot, Ramanathan Shankar. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Grateful to you for this thing, and it means a lot because yeah, your content is awesome. Can you elaborate on government approval on research and development innovation scheme if possible? I'll get back to you because I'm also interested in it. I'm going to deliberate on it. I'll get someone else also to talk. I'll get a discussion between General Harimohan Iyer and Rajiv Narayanan and I. All three of us are in IIT. We're going to meet tomorrow. We'll talk and get back to you on this. Definitely. Yeah, fine. I think we've covered the whole lot of questions largely. Before I pack off, thanks a lot. Today evening, we're going to have a discussion with my old friend John Helmer. I'm going to record a conversation with him. I'm going to put it out at 8 o'clock. And we're going to talk a lot of interesting things. There's not going to be a live session today because I have some other commitments. I'll get back to you tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to talk to you about proxies. India has to deal with a lot of proxy warfare and proxy issues. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Till then, have a great day. And Jai Hind to all of you.